What's going on, guys? Graham GSM Matthews here. Hope you're enjoying your Friday. Not very often that I do movie reviews here on the channel, but I thought I would make an exception for Psych the movie that aired last night on the USA Network on December 7th. It's December 8th as I record this. I do have my own movie review blog on nextdaywrestling.net called Director's Cut that I've had going now for about 4 years. I just haven't updated it regularly in a few years. I've done a few reviews here and there in 2017 for Beauty and the Beast, for Spider-Man, War of the Planet of the Apes, which were all good movies, and I recently did one for Jim and Andy, the Netflix documentary that came out about a month ago, which is great, by the way. Definitely well worth checking it out. But what I noticed was that since I'm so busy with other stuff, wrestling-related stuff on the website, writing for other websites, I don't have as much time as I used to literally just sit down and write a movie review. It just takes a lot more time because I like to go in-depth with my thoughts. And I'm thinking, you know what? I think it'd be a lot easier if I just sat down here and did my movie reviews in podcast form here for the channel. So this won't be a regular thing, at least not yet anyway. That's what I did with Injection of Inspiration. I had an Injection of Inspiration blog on my website, and I still do, but I haven't updated it since like February. It started out as a weekly blog on nextdaywrestling.net in like 2012. And that ran through, I mean, it's still technically going, but I'm thinking about closing that down altogether since I now have the Injection of Inspiration series here on the channel that I put up every Saturday. So I'm thinking like maybe I do a movie review every Saturday as well, some Injection of Inspiration, and a movie review every Saturday. This is going up on Friday just because I could not wait any longer to talk about Psych the movie, which has been many months and even years in the making. I am a huge Psych fan. And like I said, I could have done a written review, but I just needed to get my thoughts out there as soon as possible and could not wait to even type up words. I thought it'd be a lot easier to just sit down here and talk about it in a video for the channel. But like I mentioned, I'm a huge Psych fan and have been since, wow, well over a decade now, since early of 2007, January of 2007. And like I've said before in other wrestling-related videos and stuff, I'm not a big TV guy. I have these phases. Like in 05, 06, I was a huge Walker, Texas Ranger fan. I fucking love that show. It was a great show. I didn't watch it when it originally aired, obviously, in the 90s, but I did love watching the reruns on USA Network. And then obviously, of course, I'm now a wrestling fan and I watch Raw and SmackDown. But beyond that, I'm not a big TV guy. Now, Jason introduced me to Rick and Morty, which is a fucking great show, by the way. But beyond that, since Monk and Psych ended about a decade ago, Monk ended in 2009, Psych was in 2014, I think. I haven't really kept up with many TV series. I watched House on Netflix. I quote-unquote binged that. It took me a few months, but I watched that on Netflix. And all I gotta say is fuck Netflix. I was recently looking through the service for a few Christmas movies, like I Am Santa Claus, which was Mick Foley's Christmas documentary. I only watched it about a year ago on Netflix, and it's already fucking gone. They took that off. Christmas with the Cranks off. They took all these other movies that I love off of Netflix. Santa Claus, The Santa Claus with Tim Allen. It's like, what the fuck, Netflix? And I recently found out they also took off Psych. Psych in its entirety was on Netflix, and I was looking to rewatching it. I was looking forward to rewatching it at some point, but it just never happened because I just don't have the time. Thankfully, I have the DVDs to complete seasons because I really do want to rewatch the series. I'm pretty sure I've seen every episode. I want to say save for a few episodes in like season 1, but I'm pretty sure I own that on DVD too, and I've seen every episode from season 1. But anyway, Psych was a great show. I'm a big mystery guy, so therefore I really enjoyed Monk and Psych, which I'll talk more about Monk at the end of this review. But Psych the movie, I think, was announced earlier on this year, around March, April, May, and I could not have been more excited. I was super sad, like legitimately sad when the show ended back in 2014, because not only was it one of my favorite parts of the USA Network as a regular series, you know, they ended Monk, they ended Burn Notice, Royal Pains, I think, ended a few years ago. To me, that was like the golden age of the USA Network. Now they still have Raw and a few other good shows. I think they air Suits on USA as well, and a few other shows. I get like USA and, is it Sci-Fi? No, the shows air on USA now because Raw and SmackDown are both on USA. But I really thought that was like the golden age of the channel between Monk, Psych, Burn Notice, Royal Pains, The Dead Zone, shows like that. And now they've moved into fucking Crisley Knows Best, and anyone who knows me well knows that I fucking hate that show. I only recently found out they have 5 seasons of that show. Good God, that is atrocious. That is an embarrassment of American television. But anyway, I was very happy that Psych was back because I'm pretty sure I cried when the series finale aired about 3.5 years ago. And they wrapped up a lot of loose ends. They had Juliet and Sean finally get together. They didn't get married. Their engagement ring got stolen in Psych fashion, in Psych-esque fashion, at the end of the series finale. They pick up right where they left off 3 years later with Sean and Juliet, still kind of a couple, and Sean's looking for that ring, and he still finds himself in a bunch of trouble. But he reunites with Juliet in the Gus and the entire gang. His father, Woody, the coroner, who is one of my favorite guilty pleasures in the entire show. The guy was so funny. One of the most underrated aspects of that show. The boss, Vic, Chief Vic, and Lassiter was the only one that did not have a regular role in the movie. Now, I think they announced it earlier on this year, and I think they filmed it over the summer in Vancouver. And I forgot what his name was, Odmondson, I'm not sure, Timothy Odmondson or something along those lines, who plays Lassiter, had a stroke earlier on in 2017, so he could not take part in the movie. But they did have him appear, though, which was really cool. He made a FaceTime call to Juliet at one point in the movie. And I will say this, though, this might contain spoilers. I probably should have said that at the start of the video, so my apologies. And I'll be all over the place, by the way, too. I'm not a formal reviewer. I just kind of go off with whatever's on my mind. But yeah, Lassiter did make a quick cameo, which I really loved. Definitely the most emotional, heartfelt scene in the entire thing. There was one character who I think had died in Psych. I don't remember him at all. Now, I have not watched back the show in many years. But the one scene that was completely out of this world, with Gus dressed up as Prince, Juliet dressed up as Princess Leia, and Sean's having this dream and he's singing with a guy. It was a good scene. It was a funny scene. It was very Psych-esque, like I said earlier, but I had no idea who the guy was. And maybe he had a more regular role on the show. I know the guy from Men in Tights had made many of appearances on the show in the latter seasons. I thought he was a lock to appear on this show. I'm not sure why he didn't. I did a lot of research after the special aired last night to find out why he wasn't. I'm not sure, which was weird. It seemed like he was considered a lock to appear, and he did not. But we got that other guy, which was cool, I guess. I mean, it was a good scene. I just don't remember him at all. I'd have to watch back the show. We had Mr. Ying's apprentice, who has not appeared on Psych since like 2010. That was probably the most notable Psych villain, because I'm pretty sure Mr. Yin and their apprentice, this woman, Allison, I think her name was in the show, they were pretty big for a few episodes of Psych, like in the first few years. Like I said, 2010. The show ended in 2014. So it was cool that they brought her back for this final movie finale. The other bad guy, I forgot who he was played by, Zachary Levi, I believe his name was. He was a new face to the Psych franchise, but he played his role very well. He reminded me of the bad guy from Skyfall, the 007 movie that came out a few years ago with the bleach blonde hair. He was great. Who else? Buzz, the idiot cop that works with the Santa Barbara Police Department. He made a quick cameo at the end, which was great. Loved his character in the original show. So yeah, they had pretty much everyone appear, even if they weren't there live like Lassiter. Like I said, they had the father, who was always awesome in the show. He didn't appear, I don't think, until the second hour, along with Woody. Gus finally gets a girlfriend, so they tie up that loose end, and she's very much like Gus. Whoever that woman was played her role very, very well. Gus was great here. Woody with the line of the fucking show. And when Mr. Ying's apprentice, Allison, she ends up, like I said, spoilers. So at the end of the episode, she ends up grouping up everyone together and to this final battle scene with this random black gentleman ninja guy who reminded me of a black Jack Gallagher with the sword, and he's going all crazy and shit. Charlotte Flair, how could I forget, played the henchman for Mr. Young's apprentice and the other main bad guy. She had a pretty prominent role in the entire show, which was cool, in this entire special. And I'll go back to her in a second. So when they had the final battle at the end of the episode with Mr. Young's apprentice, Allison, and the two henchmen, so she's going through everyone from Vic after Vic's daughter is kidnapped, so they have to go save her. They have the father, they have Sean, Gus, Juliet, everybody. And then she gets to Woody, and she goes, "Who the hell are you?" And then he goes, "I'm the assistant coroner, bitch." And I just went nuts. I lost it. The final, the whole thing was funny. That last half hour I thought was gold. The final, few minutes with the with the pseudo wedding that just kind of came together out of nowhere. We finally got the wedding of Sean and Jules. It was so great. I've been waiting a long time for that one, as I'm sure many other people have been. That was really cool. Woody pretending to be like the best man holding the flowers. Again, the last half hour was just comedy gold. The whole thing was funny though, and well worth checking out, especially if you're a fan of Psych. But I would recommend watching back, maybe not the entire series, although I would say that because the entire show was fucking great. Just certain aspects, because you might not remember certain things about the show if you haven't watched it in a while like me, but it was a very, very good special. My only regret, and even before I get to that, I do want to mention this, like I said earlier, Charlotte Flair having a prominent role on the show. Now, Psych and WWE have had a really cool relationship. Now, they had people from WWE appear, maybe not, I think appear on the show before I became a fan, but I'm pretty sure I was a fan by the time they started having on people like Stacy Keibler, John Cena, who I'll get to back in a second, The Miz, Big Show, the Bella Twins, and a few others. I can't remember who else was on the show, but they had a bunch of former WWE superstars, past and present, and Charlotte Flair was one of them. So, I mean, James Roday, who plays Sean, and Dule Hill, who plays Gus, have appeared on Raw before, which was really, really cool because they're big wrestling fans. I had read an interview with Steve Franks, I believe the director was for this special, saying that there were a few things that James wanted in this special for that dream sequence, and for some things to be wrestling related, so they brought in Charlotte. She even had a fucking figure 8 on James's dad, on Sean's dad, which was so great. And she hit an arm bar, a disarmer on the corner, Woody, which was really cool. So again, she has a pretty prominent role. She played that role to perfection. John Cena made a quick cameo at the end of the episode, and is not his Psych premiere either, not his Psych debut. He was in the original show, I think for only one episode, mind you, but he did make an appearance many, many years ago, like 2010 or so, as Juliet's brother. So he returns in the final few minutes of the episode for another adventure with Sean and Gus, and we close out on that note, so kind of hinting at a sequel, which I'll talk about more in a second. But as I mentioned, my only regret, and the whole thing was great, my only regret was that they did not have Tony Shalhoub appear as Monk. So at the end of the Psych series finale, the very, very end, I forgot who it was. I think it was Juliet and Lassiter. They go on to work for the San Francisco Police Department, and Vic's like, "Oh, we already have a consultant. He's in the back organizing like the serials alphabetically or something like that," hinting at that it was Tony Shalhoub as Monk, and that made me pop so hard. Like I could not tell you how great that moment was when they had when they made that little quick comment about Monk being there, because for so many years, for like 7 years by that point, I had been waiting for a Monk Psych crossover. For like literally 7 years. I had not called in, but Tony Shalhoub did this live stream before the internet became what it is today, obviously. So at the time, it was really cool for him to do that. He did a live stream ahead of the season 6 premiere, the second half of that season, or something like that, answering fan questions that you could send in like the group chat. And I was like the second question to get featured. And I went fucking nuts, like I said, when he said, "Graham from Connecticut, will there be a season 7? He said, yeah. And then someone asked about a Psych Monk crossover, which he kind of dodged, and we never ended up getting it, which really upset me, while either when Monk was around or even after Monk ended. I know Tony Shalhoub has other projects and stuff, but that would have been really cool to see because they're polar opposites, which is exactly why it would have worked. Like, that's why Sean and Adrian Monk would have been such a perfect combo, if only for one episode, if only for like one scene. So the fact that we got that mentioned at the end of the series finale was enough for me. Then again, like I said, skip ahead to the Psych the movie. I was hoping for some sort of crossover. There was no mention of it. I'm not sure if Tony Shalhoub was busy. I did read an article, an interview after the special aired, saying from someone saying they tried to get Tony Shalhoub on the show. It just never worked out for whatever reason. On the original show, the movie, they confirmed months ago he would not be on it. I didn't read that, so I was not spoiled. It would have been cool if he showed up, though. But yeah, so it would have been cool if he did. If there are more movies, and it looks like there will be based off interviews I've watched with James Roday and the director Steve Franks, it looks like they want to make more movies, which is awesome. I am all for that. I mean, I guess it depends on how it does in the ratings, but I guess we'll see. I really hope it does well because I really want to see more movies like this. I think it's a lot better. It's a great route to take because you're not really bringing back the show, which would be awesome, but I feel like it would not capture the same magic that the original show did. So bringing it back for like takeovers like things where it's not like a weekly show, but rather like an every once in a while special like we saw last night, I think would be great. Whether it's once a year, once every few years, I'm all for that because it's one of the greatest shows that USA has ever created, and bringing it back on specials like this to ensure that they stay just that special, I think would be really cool. So going back to the Monk thing, it would be cool if they brought him in for a quick cameo in the second movie, or in the entire movie itself. I think that'd be fucking great. I think longtime fans of both shows and the USA Network on the whole would really appreciate that, and it would make for a great, a lot of great banter in a second movie. So again, it does look like they're making a second movie. It hasn't really been confirmed, but based off what the director himself has said, it looks like it is in the cards if the ratings do well. The numbers I'm sure will be in any day now. So yeah, on the whole, love Psych the movie. The Christmas elements were just the icing on the cake. I'm a big Christmas mark. I love WWE, and I love Psych, so having all three of those things packed in one little movie in a 2-hour special, and having this be 2 hours instead of one was also great. I thought was wonderful. Really, really enjoyed this. And again, it brought back memories of watching the original show, and I'm not a big TV guy, but Psych was one of the shows in the last 10 years or so that I could watch and like bond with my family over, because they're not wrestling fans, but they did love Psych as much as I did. And my mom is not a wrestling fan in the slightest. So be able to, she didn't really watch this, but she did catch parts of it last night when I was watching it. You know, for this to be back, it just, I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. It just floods back all these memories from the last 10 years. With my grandfather getting into it, he was no longer here. He passed away like almost right after the Psych premiere, so it's kind of ironic in that sense. But the series or the show being back in the form of movies, I think is really, really cool. And I'm hoping they do more. So fingers crossed about that. But anyway, check out the show. Check out Psych the movie. I'm not sure where else you could watch it. I'm sure they're going to have reruns on USA. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Fucking loved it and cannot wait for a potential sequel down the road. So thank you guys for checking out my review of Psych the movie. Even if you're not a fan of the show, again, well worth checking out. It's got comedy gold in there that I feel like is suited for certain viewers. But if you do watch enough episodes and get into it, you might like it in time. And the appearances of, this is wrestling themed after all. There is a wrestling tie-in here. The appearances of John Cena and Charlotte Flair are also very well done. So again, guys, thank you for checking out my review. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Like I said earlier, maybe heading into 2018, we might have a new show debut here on the channel. Maybe we do like Injection one week, then a movie review the next, and then Injection, movie review. I think that'd be pretty cool to kind of alternate back and forth. So we'll see. We'll definitely see come 2018. I think that'd be pretty cool. I know this is going up on a Friday, but just because the movie just aired last night, I want to get it out as soon as possible. But we will see. I like doing movie reviews. I like doing them in podcast form. Written reviews are cool too, but they just take a lot longer. So again, thank you guys for checking out the video. Have a very happy holiday season. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. Have an awesome rest of your weekend, and I'll catch your ass down the road.